Hey guys, Dantix here, back with some more Cyberpunk 2077 news. It's been over a week since D-Day, demo day that is, and information has still been leaking out the sides like it was the best night we had in a while, and we needed it. 2020 has been a nasty mistress. So I have some more information for you today. In this video, I'm going to talk new screenshots, Katana gameplay, the shady conversations you'll be having, quest interactions, and new information from a developer interview. So buckle up. Before we start, if you haven't entered the competition to win yourself a copy of Cyberpunk before the release, then do so. Be sure to follow my socials and chat to me on my Discord. Do the standard YouTube stuff too if you want more content. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, moving forward, I got sent some juicy Katana B-roll from CD themselves. I'm just gonna let it play out so you can absorb it, but later I'll slice it up. First thing to notice is using the Katana will net you blade experience. It's not something unexpected, but keep in mind this shares a skill bucket with the Mantis blades, so that begs the question, what is the benefit of using one over the other? Eventually you can equip other arm modifications, but there has to be pros and cons to both. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about this baby blue handle. It kind of takes away from the lethality of the blade for me. Is it toddler's first blade? Training sword for kids? Maybe this is a level 1 sword. Next, once the player lands on the ground, they receive a bleed buff of some kind. It's unclear what kind of buff or debuff this is, as it does no damage to the player. However, one assumption is that it's a kind of lifesteal buff, as the player takes a bit of damage from the first goon and immediately gains health back when striking him. However, with the next goon, life isn't regenerated. Instead, there's a bleed debuff placed on the enemy. This could be two separate things, as we know the blade tree offers many perks relating to putting bleed effects on enemies. The capstone lets you deal 15% extra damage with strong attacks by consuming stacked bleed effects, so maybe the buff allows you to apply bleeds more easily. Rewinding back, we see the player holding the left trigger to block incoming fire. It seems as of right now not to reduce the incoming damage by a flat amount, but perhaps it has a chance to block some shots. I don't know if you can turn into an X-Men Origins Deadpool, but it doesn't seem to block a whole lot of damage. When the character was shot with the block not active, he took 6 damage, and while the block was up, took 7, 16, and 6 points of damage. We can't be sure what kind of shots he took, so I can't straight out say that blocking is ineffective, but as of right now, it seems so. I mentioned that the capstone of the tree consumed bleed effects to buff the damage of strong attacks. Well, you can see here that fast attacks are a tap of the right trigger and strong attacks require you to hold. With the blade tree, it seems like you can specialize in fast attacks to stack bleed effects and then finish them with a strong. Though the character in the game is fighting level 8 thugs with a level 16 character, so naturally they get decapitated in 2 hits with light attacks. We also see the stamina bar being depleted as he strikes. Only quick attacks are used, and it seems like he will have roughly 26 swings before it's depleted with light attacks. This is more than enough to get in, do some damage, and duck behind a wall to recoup. It's known that you can unlock perks that increase your stamina. You can also see the sprint effect when you hold a sword that seems like if you press the attack, it will unleash a more powerful swing. The sprint also costs your stamina. Finally, when you get into a car, you'll see options for handbrake, camera, radio, to exit, and importantly, combat mode. This is a button you press that lets you hang out of the car and shoot like you've seen in those chase scenes. The cool thing is that you can press this and start shooting outside of the car while still driving the vehicle. In a recent interview with Game Informer, lead quest designer Powell Sasko talks about how much effort goes into quest interactions. He says, it's a very complex thing. It's very easy when you design things to just fall into one extreme or another, and this is how our production style comes into play. According to Sasko, every quest in the game is created with a writer, quest designer, and cinematic designer working together and pushing each other to show different sides to the characters. He says, we always keep each other in check to figure out the correct way to present elements or the character when you look at it from their perspective. We always look at it from a perspective of balance. So Sasco says it comes down to feedback from both designers and testers. If they feel strongly against the character, the designers will come together to think of a way to better showcase the character's point of view and give it more context for their actions. For those who don't know, Sasco worked on the Bloody Baron questline in Witcher 3, one of the most memorable moments. This is what he had to say. One of our objectives was to find a parallel between Geralt as a father and Baron as a father, but also throw enough bad things in there so the player will like him and dislike him at the same time. This is what we are almost consistently playing with in Cyberpunk 2077, having it be like in real life where people say one thing and then do another. Game Informer explains that CD Projekt Red goes to great lengths to pull this off in their games, using body language and dialogue to throw you in different directions. Just like in real life, you can never really know someone's true intentions or what they're thinking. Cyberpunk 2077 offers a world of danger where it feels like everyone is out for themselves, just waiting to pull one over on you. As a customized protagonist V, you must try to navigate these shady people to the best of your abilities and deal with the repercussions. Sasco says, it might be that a character is speaking in a very convincing manner, but throughout the animations, through their poses, and through the setup of the scene, we are showing that the character is not like that. So Game Informer provides an example in the character Evelyn. She's a woman who contracted Dex, the man you've seen many times in the trailer demos, to hire you for a big break job. In all the interactions with her, you're made to feel uneasy, like there's a mysterious veil around her and you can't tell if you should trust her or not, as you might only be getting a half story or a half truth. At one point, she even offers to cut Dex out of the deal so you two can split the cash. All my RPG instincts are telling me that if we cross Dex, there will be some serious repercussions, but this is Cyberpunk. I'm questioning those instincts now. Maybe doing so we earn Evelyn's respect and end up better off. Sasco describes the situation. When you're meeting Evelyn in Lizzie's bar, she's doing a very specific thing in the specific moments, and there are things she's not certain about that she's discussing. The way she's moving in that scene, that's specifically designed to present the character in the best possible way and to give the player lots of different interpretations. Sasco says the team then throws in more potential clues to give the players a certain perspective or vision of the character. Then in the next meeting with the character, the team tries to twist this a bit by adding more elements to the picture that test or confirm the player's theories. It's a tricky balance between conveying a sense of who that character is as a person, but also reflecting the complexity of people and their capacity to omit, forget, and alter details. After all, memory is a tricky thing, and people's visions of events sometimes change as they relay them. He goes on to say, when you talk to the characters and ask more questions, they can actually throw things in that are contradictory or will give you some more clues to what they really think to make you question things. It's just really fun because that makes the player be more conscious and look at the characters. Of course, we can't be all over the place with that because if you go completely random, then it won't work. It has to be designed very specifically. Knowing this will make me question my own choices. Normally when playing an RPG, you're presented with options and it's very clear cut what your choices will ultimately result in. If you cross the bad guy, no doubt they'll come up again in the story. If you save someone, they'll most likely aid you in some way either now or later. However, in Cyberpunk, I'm thinking there'll be many Trojan horses. There won't be a black and white choice with a black and white outcome. This means go into it reacting the way you want to, without thinking how it's going to affect your character in the long run, or how you won't gain the Paragon points. Frankly, that's refreshing and I can't wait to see the twists and turns and not knowing who to trust. Next are some screenshots from another part of Night City called Watson. Watson used to have it all. Nightclubs, skyscrapers, corporate offices, a top-end Medicenter, but economic disaster put an end to all of that. Now it's known as the bad neighborhood of Night City, the kind of place that suits gangs like the Maelstrom and the Tiger Claws down to the ground. The first screen we see is during the day, the slums at the bottom and closed and unfinished roads at the top to show off the verticality. The level designers mentioned this was a focus. Like a typical dystopian future, there are corporate advertisements everywhere, even in the sky. Continuing, we get a look at an industrial area in the fog, which highlights the ambient weather effects that can roll in and change the cityscape quite dramatically. Next is some concept art of not so slummy area of Watson. There is some graffiti around, but we also see a deli, which is a harmless small business, and news on the sidewalk about a dangerous cyber psycho prisoner. The next concept image is of a culturally diverse part of the city. There's not much to say here. Final concept art is of a giant Arasaka building and a factory that seems to stretch on beyond the screen. These megacorps will play a massive role in the game, and you may get to pay them a special visit. Next is some GameStar screenshots. The first is more of the Katana gameplay. The sword is off screen, but you can see the character with the same amount of health and the button prompts for a fast and strong attack, as well as blade experience being gained. However, I'm showing you this picture because of the sign here. Barely illegal. I thought it was pretty clever and had a bit of a giggle when I first saw it. No doubt we'll see plenty of this kind of thing with the red light district that is Night City. Next, we have an image of V in a gunfight with Militech soldiers. It looks like his pistol is firing explosive rounds, however we can't be sure of this. Could simply be an explosive going off, an ability or grenade, or even something from the soldiers. However, we know thermal damage guns are in the game, and I have no doubt that explosive rounds will be a thing. Perhaps requiring the crafting skill to make those particular tech weapons. I'm not sure how I feel about the Militech soldiers though, they look kinda derpy. What's that helmet? It looks like one of those Japanese Kuma beanies. I honestly can't take them seriously if they look like that, but maybe that's the point as we see more badass soldiers in the background. However, do note how amazing the lighting effects are, the guns look fantastic. That explosion right there has much to be desired though. So that's it for today's video. How did you feel about it all? Did you enjoy it? Let me know below. Like always, I'm working hard to bring you everything RPG, so make sure to hit that bell button or YouTube won't count you as subscribed. Right now, over 95% of my views are from those who aren't subbed, and I would love to see you join the fantastic community. So thanks a lot for sticking around. I'll catch you soon for more. Bye friends.